write the point slope form of this equation. It's a line that's going to go through the point -2, 4, and it has a slope of 1/2. Point slope form is the basic one that I teach my students. The way we start, you need to have some way to assemble all the parts in some kind of an equation. I like point slope for this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. x1 and y1 are the point you're given, and m is the slope. So really all you have to do is pop all the different numbers into these boxes and make any sign changes as necessary. And I'll show you that right now. So for the point that we're given, the x1 is -2 and the y1 is 4. The m is the slope, and that's going to be -1/2. It's easier to remember that y's go with y's. So y1 goes with the y variable in the formula. The slope is all by itself, and the x is going to go with the x. Y's go with y's, x go with x's. Now I'm going to rewrite this because we've got a double negative happening right here, x minus a -2. That double negative is going to change to a plus. So the final answer is going to be y minus 4 equals -1/2 times x plus 2. And we move on, number 2. We're going to do it again. Write the point slope form of the equation. The point is -1, -5, and the slope is 2. We're going to pop everything into the boxes. Y's go with y's, x's go with x's. Slope is all by itself. Y minus -5 equals 2 times x minus -1. Both of these have double negatives happening, so when we rewrite them, they're both going to change to pluses. Our final answer is y plus 5 equals 2 times x plus 1. This is the line in point slope form. Okay, number 3. We're going to do the same thing with point slope form. It's just that they didn't tell us what the slope is. We have 2 points, which is great. We need only 1. We have 2. That's wonderful. So we'll pick a point and pop everything in, but first we have to use both points to find the slope. This is the formula for slope. x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's put that into this formula. We have 3 minus -2. y2 is 3 minus the -2. Y's on top, x is on the bottom, 0 minus 3. This turns out to be 3 plus 2 over -3. That's going to be 5 over -3. So let's use a point. The first point is 3, -2. Let's use that one. So y minus -2 equals -5/3 times x minus 3. All right, we got to simplify, make a sign change there. So we end up with y plus 2 equals -5/3 times x minus 3. The answer is still in point slope form, and that's all we had to do. What would happen if we used the 0, 3 point? 3 would go in for the y. The slope is still -5/3, and the x is 0. I personally like choosing points that have zeros in them because it makes the work a little bit easier. Here's the final answer, and we didn't have any sign changes or anything with that one. Now, when you're doing this, you can use either point. I know the answers look different. That's okay. Later on, when we convert this into a different form, when we simplify it a little bit more, you're going to see that it doesn't really matter. All right, now let's do this one. The point is 0, 4, and the other point is -3, 3. We need to get all the parts together. We have to start by finding the slopes. So we have 3 minus 4 on the top. We're going to have -3 minus 0 on the bottom. That's going to give us -1 over -3. You can use that, but the negatives cancel out, and it would be a little bit easier just to use 1/3. I'm going to use the first point because it has a 0 in it. I like the 0 points a lot. So I have y minus 4 equals 1/3 times x minus 0. Final answer is y minus 4 equals 1/3 times x minus 0. Nothing changed. Okay, this one's a little different now. That's in point slope form already, and I want you to write it in slope-intercept form. It's hard to remember all of these. Here we go. I'll show you. This is point slope form. That's the one we've been playing with. This is slope-intercept form. So basically, slope-intercept form is when you solve for y. So we're going to start out with something that's in point-slope form. We're going to start by doing distributive property on the side with the x that has the parentheses. So the next line is going to be y plus 4. We just copy that. We didn't do anything on that side. 9/4 x is 9/4 x. And here's what's interesting. When you take 9/4 times the number 4, denominator's going to cancel out. 9/4 times 4 is just 9. Now we're going to subtract 4 from the y side because we are really trying to solve for y here. And we end up with y equals 9/4 x plus 5. And that is your final answer. It's now in slope-intercept form. Okay, let's do that again. We're starting out in point-slope form. We're going to put it into slope-intercept form, and we're going to do that by solving for y. We start with distributive property again. Y minus 2 stays the same. 4/5 times x is 4/5 x. And 4/5 times 5 cancels the denominator, and you are left with the numerator 4. Let's add 2 to both sides. And we are going to get y equals 4/5 x minus 2. That is our final answer for this problem because that's in slope-intercept form. For this one, I want a final answer in slope-intercept form, but the only thing I have here are 2 points. Well, this is what slope-intercept form looks like. And in order to get started, we use the point-slope form. So we can assemble all the parts and kind of come up with some kind of an equation. But if you notice, we're missing a slope. There's the slope equation, and we need to find the slope between these 2 points again. So x1, y1, x2, y2. The slope equals 4 minus a negative 1 over 4 minus 0. That's going to be 4 plus 1 over 4. And we end up with 5 over 4. That's our slope. The y1 is negative 1 and the x1 is 0, and those slide right in next to their buddies. We simplify a little bit because we have a sign change we need to make there. Y plus 1 equals 5/4 x minus 0. Now we want to be in slope-intercept form, so I got to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. And we are done. Y equals 5/4 x minus 1. I know that says minus 0, and that's kind of weird. I kind of just left it there as a placeholder so you'd know where to put the negative 1. Answer. All right, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to shoot for slope-intercept form at the end. We have to start by taking all the parts and assembling them together into some kind of an equation using the point-slope form. We do not have the slope, so we have to calculate that. And we're going to end up with 1 as our slope. That's pretty sweet. And I'm going to use the first point for this one, just so you can see what happens if you don't use the 0 point. You have to do a little bit of extra work. Y minus negative 1 equals 1 times x minus 2. Let's rewrite that. The double negative changes to a plus, so I end up with y plus 1 equals x minus 2. Solving for y by subtracting 1 from both sides, we get y equals x minus 3. That is this final answer. But what would happen if we chose the 0 point? I just want to make the point, so let me rewind all this. The slope is still 1. That's not going to change, but this time instead of choosing that first point, I'm going to use the second point. We end up with y plus 3 equals x minus 0. Now subtract 3 from both sides. And look, you're going to have the same answer either way. So even though if you're using point-slope formula and it looks a little different in the middle, that's okay. Everybody's going to end up in the same spot. It's fine. You can choose either point. This is where things start to get a little bit more intense. We want to be in standard form. This is standard form. This is ax plus by equals c. In standard form, all the terms with variables are on one side. A and b are going to be numbers. Those are going to be coefficients. C is the constant, so this will be a number all by itself on the other side of the equation on the right side. This is definitely final form. We can't go from 2 points to standard form in one step. So we still have to start with our point slope form. This is like the greatest tool ever. This helps us assemble all of our parts. We still do not know the slope. They didn't tell us that. They just told us 2 points. So we're going to do what we've been doing, which is using those 2 points to calculate the slope. Here's my math for that. I'm ending up with 1/4 for my slope. So I'm going to put that in the slope spot. I'm picking the point with the 0 because that's just how I roll. We have a double negative, so I've got to rewrite that. Y plus 2 equals 1/4 x minus 0. I did the distributive property with the 1/4 going into the x minus 0. I leave this 0 in there just as a placeholder. When I'm teaching, that helps kids understand where to line things up, so that's why I leave it there. Simplifying that, I end up with y equals 1/4 x minus 2. Now this is in slope-intercept form, which is awesome, but that's not where we want to go. It wants standard form, so we're not done with this yet. Make a little room here. I need to get into standard form. So that means I need to move this 1/4 x over to the other side with the y. So I end up with negative 1/4 x plus y equals negative 2. It's kind of an awkward looking thing there. Maybe you'd think that would be right and you would get it wrong because standard form actually has some fine print. The first thing is that a, the number that's being multiplied times the x, can't be a fraction. So let's get rid of the fraction by multiplying by the denominator of that fraction, which is 4. And when you do that, you're going to end up with negative 1x plus 4y. Don't forget to multiply times the y. And whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other. So we have to also multiply negative 2 times 4. So we get negative 8. You think you're done? No, you're not. Standard form has another fine print. A can't be negative. Now, if you are actually in my class right now, I don't really care. I'm going to give you full credit for that, even if A is negative. But this is for anybody watching, and there's going to be teachers out there who are going to go, no, that can't be negative. So you need to change all the signs. But instead of negative x plus 4y equals negative 8, we're just going to change all the signs so x is positive. We have positive 1x minus 4y equals positive 8. And that is going to make every teacher on the planet happy. We're going for standard form. Here's my calculation for the slope. It's going to be negative 2. 2 divided by negative 1 will be negative 2. I'm going to use this point because why not? They're both equally bad. Might as well use that one. I'm putting that point and that slope into the point slope formula. I've got a double negative there that I can change, and then I'm going to do distributive property in the same line. Now we're trying to set this up so we have all the numbers on one side of the equation and all of the variables on the other. So I'm going to start by moving that positive 3 over by subtracting 3 from both sides. Y equals negative 2x minus 1. It is in slope-intercept form. We got to keep going. We want it to be in standard form, so I need to add 2x to both sides. The a is not a fraction, yay, and the a is not negative. So we are done. This is good. All right, standard form again. Let's find the slope. There it is. It's 6/4. You can put that in lowest terms. That's fine, but honestly, it won't matter when we're done. It really won't, because we're not going to be able to use fractions in a final answer anyway. So let's just use 6/4. I'm going to use the point with the 0 because I like the points with the 0. So plugging that into the slope-intercept form, I get y minus a negative 5 equals 6/4 times x minus 0. Y plus 5 equals 6/4 x minus 0. That's with distributive property done as well. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, and I end up with y equals 6/4 x. That's hard to say. Y equals 6/4 x minus 5. Need to subtract 6/4 x from both sides. I really can't say that. but I can do the math. All right, minus 6/4 x plus y equals -5. I need some room here. Look at our fine print. Well, that -6/4 violates both of the fine print things because it can't be a fraction and it can't be negative. So if we think about this, we can be kind of clever and multiply both sides times something to clear the fraction and clear the negative at the same time. And that would be if we multiplied by -4 on both sides. The negative times the negative is going to change it to a positive, and the 4 is going to clear the fraction. So we end up with positive 6x minus 4y equals positive 20. And that is the final form. That is in standard form. Let's do one more. The slope is going to end up becoming 7 over -1, which is going to be -7. I'm going to use this point because, again, both of these are equally bad. I might as well use the one with the both negatives. I'll have two sign changes. But the slope isn't a fraction, so that's cool. So I end up with y plus 3 equals -7 times x plus 4. I'm going to use distributive property right now. And we end up with y plus 3 equals -7x minus 28. Now I need to move the numbers. So I subtract 3 from both sides. I get y equals -7x minus 31. That would be awesome if we wanted slope-intercept, but we want standard. Add 7x to both sides. 7x plus y equals -31. 7's not a fraction and 7's not negative, so that is it. Hey, if you're still studying for this test and you want to get some more information about some of the things I did here, check out this playlist right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.